Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Well, according to some, the greatest show on earth kicked off today when earlier this evening Qatar were humbled by Ecuador. But come on, we all know the show that everyone is waiting for. That's the return of Super Mick Arteta's red and white, styling, Rolls Royce riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing Sons of Gunners. That's when they take on West Ham on Boxing Day. But before all that, we'll be reviewing the greatest start to the league campaign in the club's history and the key facts behind it. Joining me tonight, I have the one and only James Johnstone. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Appreciate it being here. Thank you.
Great to have you back, mate. Thanks for coming on. I also have Stephen Osakwe with his away shirt today, the last season's one. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good to be back to the top of the league.
Thanks for coming back, my friend. Thank you. And we also have Neil Shah. Neil, how you doing, my friend? Oh, Neil's chopped off, I think. Hopefully he'll come back. I think he may be having some sound issues. But we'll start with the... Obviously, we're having a review, so let's all tuck in and get it going. We've got a slide to have a look at. So we'll start with, obviously, August, where it all began. The Friday night performance against Palace, where you had our old friends Carragher and Neville, dressed up in their best gear, hoping for another night of dancing like they did the season before against Brentford, and they came and we disappointed them with a sensational first half performance. Or first 20 minutes was really the barometer for me, and that obviously made a lot of people sit up and take notice that this was going to be a different Arsenal. James, what was your take on that game? You're obviously going back on it again, and obviously how it affected or influenced the sequence of games that we could see on that slide there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from that game is, like you said, they put us on again thinking that we were going to lose, thinking that we were going to be embarrassed, because I know it was August, but it wasn't that long ago that we actually played Palace and they absolutely thrashed us in that game that sort of began the catalyst of ruining the top four that we wanted last season. But the big takeaway for me from that game was literally the three new men. And I know that we don't like to say Saliba's a new man because he's been here for 3 seasons but only started now. All three of them in that game. I mean, Saliba was my man in the match for that one. But Zinchenko had the assist from the set piece. He played that ball back across that Martinelli tucked in. And then Jesus that game just went to show what we've seen now from August up until November. The way that he was chopping in and out, he nearly scored one of the goals of the season in the first game of the season. If he had got the shot away, I think he'd done about 6 play. I think he did the same one about 2 or 3 times actually. But he was weaving in and out, and it was a brilliant start to the season. Just what a way to kick it off for us. So I was very, very impressed with the new men as they were impressive all through pre-season as well. It seemed that we just carried the great pre-season over, which is what we've always wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, obviously, that performance, again, as I said, made everyone sit up and take notice. Was there anything in that performance that surprised you, or was you? I mean, I guess most of us were worried that we'd happily take a draw, but were you obviously surprised by the performance?
No. Since from pre-season, obviously you can't really give too much into how pre-season games go, but it was just professional. We were good. We were at it, and it was good to see us like that. As you said, the first opening 20 minutes of that game, we were on it, and I think with the pre-season and how the players were talking about, the disappointment of last year and stuff like that. I think they were just hungry. They wanted it, and they went out there, and I said that it was professional. You know, you can say that yes, they were on it, but it was also professional in how they dealt with that game. And yeah, even though people like Lord Sugar chipping in, going, "Oh, pink shirts," and then people reminding that, yeah, you wore a pink shirt as well, mate. So they were looking at things ready to start chipping away at us, and we answered the first question, which is, could we win, and could we win well, and we did.
Yeah. And Neil, was you at the Leicester game? Were you there, or do you remember that?
No, I don't think I wasn't at the Leicester one. No, unfortunately.
Obviously, that was the first home game, and obviously that was a bit of a roller coaster one where we hit back. Obviously, Saliba got the own goal, didn't he? And obviously, we saw the reaction of the fans, and again, that just seemed to set a standard of how this is how things are going to be going forward. This unbelievable support, and obviously, you've been to obviously a few games. No, James has as well. But yeah, I mean, the support, we just seem to have like this synergy between everyone, right from the very off. I mean, what was it like for you? Obviously, did you go to the Fulham game?
Do you know what? I've been to quite a few this season. I can't remember which ones I've been to. That sounds really bad.
It's such a long season, isn't
it? Yes. Everything's got muddled up into, and I've been to quite a few of the home games this season. Luckily, I've been fortunate enough to been able to do that, because the tickets have been a right nightmare to get hold of. So I've been very lucky. All I can say is that for me, the Palace game was important. Sorry, I don't want to go back too much, but I think it was a big statement of intent, as Stephen. And I'm sorry, I've had some technical issues, so I'm not quite sure if James has had a chance to speak yet. But it was such a statement of intent, going away to a very difficult ground and achieving something that everyone had kind of almost had so much negativity towards us, saying that we're just not a team capable, we're not big enough, we're not grown up enough, we haven't got the attitude, we haven't got the mentality, etc. And we answered it. And then again, for me, Leicester was another landmark because of the way we were responding every time they scored, within seconds. And again, especially James and Jack have mentioned it on quite a few times on the Purely Pod, that when we go down a goal or the opposition scores, our heads just drop, all of them just drop, and we just lose the plot. And that was a difference I saw in the Leicester game, massive difference, where nothing seems to affect us, nothing seems to rile us, and we almost get better because of it if there's a mistake made with the Saliba goal. But what also helps that is what you just mentioned, is the fans. From all the games that I've been, I honestly, and I've said this before on the pods previous, that it seems to get better each match I go to. It's crazy. You'd think it wouldn't. But every time I go to the next game, it's like, oh my God, the fans have got even louder. And it's all very well that the fans get behind the teams when we're doing well. The difference now, especially in the last 12 to 18 months, I'd say, is that they're getting behind the team when things are not going well as well. And that is a massive boost for all the players. They really have become our 12th man. And I've always wanted the Emirates to become a fortress, and we're there. We're getting there. And I think that has been the biggest part of everything. It's been a synergy of many components, and it's all like they all have worked and come together all at the right time, and that is why we're top of the league, and that's why we're going to win it.
Yeah, I think, like James has said, I mean, everyone's talked about, obviously, quite rightly, what Jesus has done, but I think Saliba as well, just the calmness that he's brought there, to the back. I mean, we've how many centre backs have we watched, and how many goalkeepers have we watched where when you're playing against someone who you're confident is, it makes such a difference on that other person's own game. They can relax, they can play their own game. They haven't got to worry about someone absolutely dropping it, and then you've got to all of a sudden maybe start 5 yards back or anything like that. Saliba just gets on with it, and he's brought so much assurance to the back, which we did concede a few goals at home. That's the only thing that was the worry. We got 2 clean sheets away from home, and we conceded goals at home. But then obviously that went into September, which is when we started with obviously the defeat against United. And the reason I've put that on there and the shot of the man Benjamin White, Steve's boy, on there, was the performance. It was, when we look at the result at the end, which is the Brentford one, it was almost like, did that performance was the Brentford performance the United one, but just with the efficiency? Was with us being clinical? Because if you look at that performance we played against United, we were unbelievable to some of the football we played. We just weren't clinical up front. We got a really good goal from Saka. A really good finish, but we just weren't clinical. And obviously against Brentford we were. And I think that again, having a bit of a setback like that, the way we bounced back, because obviously going into the next month, which you'll see, the run of games we had and the results we had. I think that performance, even though we lost, I just think that gave them so much belief that they could go to somewhere like United and impose themselves like that. Would you say that, James? Or because I think you've mentioned it before in the past, where you play, you don't play the history, or you don't play the bad. You play what's in front of you, the players on the pitch. And we were miles better than United that day.
Yeah, no, 100%. Still feel the same way that I did when I talked about it after it finished. It was just 2 lapses in concentration that happened there, and we got hit on the counter when we just were trying to, assert dominance onto a game which, in a way, we were already quite dominating. We just, like you said, we just couldn't finish. And then what did raise eyebrows for me, and I'm not going to lay into him, the manager, but I feel that he did make too many changes there in one go, and that lost some of the control that we had. Because it was, I know he made them when obviously we went 2-1 down, but I feel like no, you could have got back into that and then maybe gone a bit more. But I think he just panicked a bit and went full attacking straight away because he saw how well we were doing. He was just like, well, it's just the fact none of them can finish. And I mean, Vieira, when he come on that game, looked brilliant. For a debut, he looked really good when he come on. And it was just unfortunate, like we said, we just couldn't get the finishing touches. But yeah, that's that. And obviously PSV are the 2 only black marks that you can really look at in terms of results. I know a lot of people aren't impressed with that performance second half at Leeds and against Southampton, but we'll touch on them when you get to them. You're muted, mate. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. People saying that. Sorry, Steve. People saying that we got battered against United, and they're people that are just looking at the scoreline and not the actual performance and breaking it down. Obviously, going into that one, obviously you can touch on that performance if you please do. But obviously that led into the first game in Europe for a couple of years, and obviously how important it was to get off the mark there as well. But yeah, that was the worry, wasn't it? That we've lost games and then we've gone into a bit of a tailspin, and we've sort of lost a lot of confidence. But obviously, as you will see in the next slide, obviously, as we all know, what we did after that setback from United. But what was your thoughts on that, and just the way we responded to that setback at Old Trafford?
You know what, we responded in a way that the manager wants the team to respond. He's always forget that one, move on to the next one, and we go out there and win. So as everybody has said, we were the better team in that game. We just didn't win. It did remind me of Arsenal of old, which is we're the better team, but we still didn't win. But it was never a case of we have to worry about anything, because we move on to the Europa League. We returned, and a much changed side. Some debuts for the goalkeeper, and yes, he was a little bit shaky, but we still won the game. And then we went into Brentford, and it was just brilliant. It was the Man United game, as you guys said earlier. It's the Man United game, but with the result, and that was the main difference. I know some people have said that maybe the Leeds game second half, the Southampton game second half, and and a couple of others that we haven't maybe hit the standards that we've set, but we've been by far the best team in the league so far this year. So we are. They always say you are where you are because of the league table doesn't lie, and we're 5 points clear top of the league. So that defeat, you can just gloss over it. Man United can have it. It's their FA Cup. So we move on.
Yeah, Neil. Nothing more to say on that, really. Is there in terms of Man United, grabbing what they can? It's amazing that they've beaten who they've beaten at home this season, despite how pretty average they've been. But yeah, I think touching on what Steve said about obviously the Zurich game, yeah, it was good. It was very important to get off with a win after what happened. Obviously, our last venture in Europe, and the players who he's given opportunities to get off with the mark of a win, especially someone like Marquinhos, who obviously we'll maybe talk about in future. But for him to score and what he felt about him, do you think going forward? I mean, how do you think? Obviously, as we get closer to the knockout stages of the Europa League, he has to sort of juggle things a little bit, But for me personally, it's still about top four. Where we are is fantastic, but we got to be realistic. For me, it's top four and really going for the Europa League. So, do we keep people like Marquinhos about, or do we have to load him out? But does that weaken our options going forward? I mean, what would you say about
that? Well, firstly, I was so happy for him. What a celebration! It's one of the most endearing, lovely celebrations I've ever seen from an Arsenal player. And the fact that he even scored and assisted and Nketiah returned the favour, that was great. I was so happy for the pair of them. And it was very brave of Arteta, given, as you just said, our first endeavours into Europe for a couple of years. So a very important game, so important to get off the mark. And he changed the squad around. And we still got the results. So that was huge in that respect. With regards to Marquinhos, I mean, I think it all depends on who. Personally, I wouldn't like to get rid of him, no, because I see a lot in him. I see a hell of a lot of potential in him. I think he can be a filler if something catastrophic happens, touch wood, nothing will. But if we're short, I think he could be a great asset for us. I think the same way Vieira is. I know Vieira started off with started off brilliantly, and then he's had a bit of a dip. But then he's come, last couple of times I've seen him, he's started to find his feet again a little bit. I think both him and Marquinhos have got great futures with the club. I wouldn't like to loan him just yet, no. I think there are other players that potentially could go out, possibly like Lukonga, etc., could go on loan, but not someone like Marquinhos. I think he's got a role to play yet in this season. I really do believe that. Because as you said, we might have a lot of games to be worrying about. We could do well in the FA Cup. We could have a good run in that competition as well. So we'll have with three fronts, focus on the Prem, of course, but we might need to have that bit of extension in the squad to be able to facilitate that. But then again, it all depends on who we get in January. We might get 2 or 3 players, which could be those fillers, because it's going to be a hard task for him, because he's got a lot of good choices, and to keep everyone happy, and I know they will. That's what I love about this squad. I think they all know what's going on, and they've all signed up for it, and they're all in it. They're all in it, saying, "Yeah, it doesn't matter if we don't play every blooming game or every minute. We're happy because we know what is happening at this club." And I think that is what's caused us to another component of why we've been successful so far. Because I don't think there's any egos there that are like, why am I not playing? Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's why I would not want a certain number 7 to come into our team from all the rumours that have been going on. Not interested. We are the real deal now. We don't need no exterior influence from a has-been player. Sorry, with all due respect.
We don't need Son, Neil. We don't need Son. No, we don't need him.
You read my mind, James. How did you know he was all talking about him? I love it. See, telepathic. That's what Arsenal are like at the minute. Telepathic. So no, great. And you know what? I just want to touch on Saliba's goal. Oh, wow. What a goal that was. We've had some corkers, and we've had Vieira's goal, Saliba's goal, 2 parties' goals. World class. We're world class. What can I say? World class.
we are at the moment. So then we go into October, and absolutely ridiculous run of games. I think a game every 3 days. And as I was saying, obviously from the United disappointment, we went on another mad run of games. Obviously, starting with the visit of Trophy Dodgers FC, and tucked them up as we normally do. And and then obviously going on to obviously the one in the middle there, which obviously got the. Still think it's the coldest photo I think I've seen this season of the three amigos, and that was a lineup before the game against Liverpool, and just looking ready to like just destroy them, which they did. They couldn't live with us. Trent couldn't live with us. Van Dijk, it was like you were just watching like a lamppost, basically. Just didn't want to know, and obviously that's the highlight for me. I think that performance, even though we went on a couple of wins, I think that performance physically and mentally was quite taxing, because obviously performance levels kind of dropped after that in terms of actually the way we were dominating games. We were in little spells, but weren't as especially the lead second half, which I think you touched on, James. But yeah, that, I mean, which one of those stands out for you? Obviously, I know for me it's the Liverpool one, but what couple, or was there anything that you was concerned about? And going into obviously the run that we went into in the following month in November. What was your standout one for you, James?
Oh, I think it's like you said. For me, every single test that I know we've had so many talks on here, even on shows that I've not been on. You guys have been filling in you've been banging the drum for me about how rubbish this media in this country is, especially considering the team that's 5 points clear of the top of the league. Yet they still can't get any credit. It's absolutely ridiculous. For me, I like I said, every single test that we've had thrown at us, apart from Manchester United away, we've passed every single one. And that's the best for me. And in that month, like you said, if you told me that we had 2 of last season's top 4 back-to-back before I watched how we started this year, I'd have been like, oh my God, we'll probably win one of them, but we ain't winning both. And I know that Liverpool game was 3-2, but I felt that it was quite comfortable, as well as the Spurs game was very, very comfortable. So to win against 2 of last season's top 4 comfortably, that just shows the level that this team has gone in such a short space of time, which is what should be praised. Yeah, again, as per, unless it's great podcasts like yourselves, we don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, what was your highlight of October?
You know what? I'll break it down with the 3 games just very quickly. Spurs, as James was saying there, you look at those games and you think, but our record against them at home is a lot better than at their ground. So we usually beat them at home, so it was to be expected. It was easy. The Liverpool game, again, we at no point did we look like losing that game, and that's crazy to say. And people go, oh yeah, but Liverpool are not the same Liverpool, and blah blah. They're Liverpool. Okay, Liverpool fans would have told you at the beginning of the season, we're Liverpool. We finished second on the highest points ever, and blah blah blah. We finished second, didn't it? So yeah, but at the same time, they were mentality monsters. They're the mentality monsters, and so yeah. After that game, we were probably mentally drained more than physically drained. I think the lads are very well properly fit, so I think they were just mentally a little bit draining after that game. But they come to the emotion and the manager dealing with that. And then I'm going to go forward to Forest and just say it was good, because who did they beat the week before?
Yeah.
So again, we touched on the Southampton game before, and I always said that looking at those runner games, the Southampton game is going to be a difficult one because we don't get much change at St Mary's in recent years, and it was again, no decisions went our way, but it is what it is. So yeah, those are my standout ones, which was 3-1, 3-2, 5-0.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good month.
Neil, you was there for the Forest game, and you saw your main man. Obviously Neil is the official founder of the Reece Nelson Foundation fan club, and one of the good things was again, we had a defeat. Obviously the last one against United, we bounced back. We went on the run. We lost to PSV, which was kind of come in, and when we bounced back, and we did the business. But again, what was are you taking that one as your pick of October, obviously, or was it the Tottenham game or the Liverpool game? I think that for me, it's just jumping on it. I think the kind of resilience we showed against Leeds. I think the Liverpool game was definitely a mentally taxing one. I think there's loads of variables there. I even think something like the issue, what happened with Henderson and Gabriel, that could have had some sort of thing on the players, just little things that could just take your edge off it or just take your focus away a little bit. But we carried on and we continue winning. But I think the way we played against Leeds and hung in, we would have probably lost that game quite convincingly last year. But what was your standout for October, Neil?
No, all day long, what you just said there. I mean, it's very easy to pick out the glamour ties, the Tottenhams, the Liverpools. And then when we have a massive battering, which you all called, said it's going to be very soon, the team's going to get battered by us. And it happened. It's very easy to pick those games out. And good reason too, of course. Beating Tottenham all day long. Beating Liverpool, yeah, woohoo. Shut that horse teeth man up. And, having a good win is always welcome too. So quite rightly, but I think what you just said there is quite important about the resilience, because that Leeds game is important. Because the thing is, to win 5-0, although and Reece Nelson was blew me away that day, absolutely fantastic. What a player! But to win those games is great. But when you are hanging on against a team which is, Leeds aren't, again, I've said it about all the teams, all the Premier teams. James and I were having a conversation earlier, and he said it for donkey's years. I've said it for donkey's years. There is no one bad team in the Premiership. They're all capable of beating each other. And I don't care what people want to say about, Odegaard, yeah, he scored us 6 goals, but they're all bottom place teams. I'm sorry, mate. They're all damn good teams in the Premiership. They're all hard grafting teams. Actually, when they're at the bottom, they're probably even harder to beat because they're fighting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so don't anyone who tells me, but that was an easy team, that was a mid-table team, shut up. Yeah, the Premiership is is the hardest league in the world. That is why all the big stars are drawn to this league. It used to probably be the attraction of Spain and Germany, etc. But it's us now. It's England, because it's the hardest Premiership, hardest league in the world. And there's a reason for that, because it's a damn glamour and tough league to play in. It's fast, it's physical, and there is no team in this Premiership league currently that can't beat anyone else. They all can, and that's been proven. Yeah. So, for me, Leeds, I can't remember what position they were when we played them. That's a tough game. Just like the Wolves one was away, just like Brentford away was, just like Palace away was. They've all been tough games. Nonsense, we haven't played anyone else yet. We've played Premier League teams. What do you want us to do? It just makes me so angry. And I'm sorry I'm getting a bit animated about it, but it really does annoy me when I hear all this negativity towards us. So I think the Leeds game was a standout game, simply because of that. Yeah. Because you're right. For the last maybe 4 or 5 seasons, guys, we would have lost that or drawn it. We hung on, and that really escalates the mentality and the goal. And Arteta would probably go to the players afterwards and say, "See, if you get it mentally right here, look what you can achieve. It might not be pretty, it might not be the glamour stuff, but look what you've done. You've got 3 valuable points, and that's what it's all about."
Yeah, massive. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? What you said about the pundits saying, it was an easy, or whoever saying, there's easy games in the Premier League. There isn't. I mean, one minute those same people are saying this is the most competitive league in the world, and then they're saying the opposite by saying, well, you should be beating teams like Brentford. You should be beating teams like Leeds. Same Brentford that have beaten City and United, and I think drew with Chelsea 0-0, did they? The same Leeds that we were very lucky to beat, but they turned over Liverpool on their own patch, first defeat in how many years? I think again, as we touched on many times, it's a narrative. Is Arsenal. If Arsenal are in the conversation, the narratives just get all turned upside down and reflected or whatever into whatever agenda or whatever angle they want to go.
You make a great point, Michael, because a lot of people now are saying, "Oh yeah, but look at the fixture list that you had." Well, hang on a sec. Your supposed big 6 that you even though that you're losing tons and tons of football a year, yet your subscription price is going through the roof, yet I'm getting less content, and you're bringing people from, the middle of YouTube to present your shows now because your great presenters that you used to have are quitting because you don't have the content anymore compared to other providers. Your so-called big six, who's played the most out of all the big six? Oh, wait a sec. Oh, it's Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've had enough. I've had enough.
It's true. It's true. It's so true, mate. So then we go on to October, which November. Sorry, getting my months mixed up. Obviously, yeah, we finished off the Europa League qualification in top spot, and obviously the big one there was the win at Chelsea, which again it was like the United game for me, complete domination, absolute complete domination, but just again the finishing aspects, the chances that we had, obviously Jesus with that move. Visual move, Odegaard when he was put through by some brilliant work from Jesus, should have scored there or squared it to Saka. We could have done two things there, which was really. We were just fortunate that we were so defensively strong and dominant that we were set up against any sort of counter, and that the likes of their centre forward wasn't very good. I can't remember his name, but and the other guy, the other guys they had, I think Ben White was probably up to his banter tricks. I think he must have told Raheem Sterling before the game. I think there's penalties at the end of this, or penalty shootout, because the guy disappeared. He just disappeared like it was like the Euro final again, where the guy just didn't want to take a penalty. Let Saka take it. Let 18-year-old kid take it. I'm the most experienced guy in the squad, boy from Brent, blah blah blah, all this stuff. When it comes to a penalty shootout and you've got a chance to do something on your home turf, you weren't nowhere to be seen, mate. You let an 18-year-old kid take it. But anyway, I always wanted to get that out because I think that's what I think of him. But yeah, he disappeared. Sterling Ben White pocketed him, and for me it was like complete dominance. I didn't think that I wasn't worried at any point watching that game, James. But obviously that then we followed that up with the rotation and the Brighton game, which I don't think many of us saw. And then finished it off with Wolves, which you talk about in a minute. But yeah, the Chelsea game, again, it was another one that made a lot of people sit up and take notice, wasn't it, James?
Yes, because as much as the offensive output has been praised this season, because you're getting goals from every single position in the pitch. Like I've said, that main starting 11 now that is Zinchenko as the left back and not Tierney, all of them have got a goal and an assist, apart from one, which is the goalkeeper. He's the only one who hasn't got a goal or an assist. And even when you take Zinchenko out and you put Tomiyasu in, and that's been the 11, he's got an assist as well. So every single player in every position is contributing to the collective. And that's why I still don't get these people that claim themselves to be Arsenal fans are going absolutely insane about the striker not scoring goals. He does everything else apart from score goals at the moment. And it's not like he won't ever score goals again. This isn't like when Aubameyang had that terrible run and he was trying to steal, when he stole the goal off Odegaard and it was offside against I can't remember who it was against last season. You're like, why have you done that, you clown? It was going, leave it. Like, we need the points and now you've taken it away, you fool. It just baffles me that people that claim they support the team, yet the guy that's single-handedly contributing as much as he can, apart from tucking the ball in the back of the net. Oh yeah, but that's what we paid him for. Well, sorry, that if he wasn't doing that, I've watched Lacazette and Aubameyang that didn't even do what he's doing, and yet, oh no, you can't slate them. No, they'll come good again. They'll come good. We saw this a mile off, some of us. Ages ago, as soon as the contract was given, we knew that the drop-off was going to happen, and it did. And yeah, that Chelsea game, in terms of the defensive performance, I thought was superb. There was that one, wasn't it, where they tried that lofted over-the-top through ball, and it looked, when you're watching it, oh, Aubameyang's got Saliba there. Oh, blimey. No. No. He's like, I think Saliba a bit was like, I'll let you have a head start just to think you're doing it, and then I'll get you at the end. And it just, it was just like, you know, a bigger kid nicking sweets from a younger one. Just even though he's older than him, just straight away, just like, no, yank, I'm having your Haribos, mate. Sorry. It was unbelievable. It really was, and we've seen it that when we beat these big teams, they're hooking players. That, you know, when we played Spurs, they took Son off. When we played Liverpool, Salah come off. You know, Aubameyang got taken off for Chelsea because they have no effect. They have no effect with the players that we've got in there now. And I'll let Stephen go on about his man in a bit. But even in that Chelsea game, apart from his shooting, which I hope he's got time to practice now whilst he's in Qatar, because they're not going to play him. Just learn how to kick the ball in the net, Ben. Learn how to score some goals while you're there. And we've got the complete. You know, he's already elite at everything else apart from scoring. And I can't wait for the day he does score, because I don't know what he's going to do when he does. Because he's hilarious. The guy's hilarious. I want to see what his celebration is. I think it's going to be fantastic when it happens.
Yeah. On that note, Steve, Ben White, the Love Island Maldini. And also it's funny that we've got Ben White's fan club member 0001. Steve, and obviously with Neil with Reece Nelson. Talk about your boy. I think he had a quote today about the World Cup, saying he's never watched a World Cup or something like, I don't know what it is, or something like that.
He is absolute gold. He's absolute gold, because I think he always says that I don't really watch much football, like, other than playing it. So do you know what I mean? But because he's really good at it, you know, he does it. the guy's quality. I love his interviews. You know, if they could just interview him every week, that would be fantastic. In that Chelsea game, he shows his funny side when he after we score and he kicks the ball. Odegaard, you see Odegaard like, who's done that? And he just carries on like normal. Yeah, it was me, but you know, you never know. The guy's hilarious. And on top of that, he's a top footballer. And I've said it before, and I'll keep on saying it. He's a footballer, so you can play him anywhere, and he will do a good job anywhere he plays. If he finds his shooting boots, James, you know he'll be playing up front next, don't you? And he'll do
I don't mind. Job. Yeah, he'll do a job. Like you said, he's going to do a job.
So, he's the Chelsea game. We were solid, and we'd never looked like losing that game from the first minute. To be perfectly fair, we were on it. I know James was saying about some Arsenal fans talking about Jesus not scoring. It doesn't bother us. The team are scoring. This is a team game. We're not looking for one individual. We're looking for a collective. Everybody, pretty much everybody that started as of the main 11 has scored, as James said. So you know, even Tierney scored that winner for us. So even he has a goal to his name. So everybody's scoring. We're getting goals from all over, which is something that we've all wanted for a long time. Yes, it's great to have a striker that can bang in 25, 30 goals. I'm not saying that. But if you can get a team where your midfield are chipping in with like all 10 plus goals, and your fullbacks are getting a couple, your centre-backs are getting a couple. I'm sure Ramsdale will be up there for a corner one day just to try and knock one in as well. But yeah, if you can share the goals out collectively, then there's not a responsibility on anyone, and we've been awesome. So you know, forget everyone else. We're top of the league.
Neil, the Chelsea game, was it? You know, again, as I said to obviously James. I mean, it was another standout one. I think the Wolves one was as well. When we come to that in a second, but yeah, we'll probably come to that now. I mean, both games, I think City had played beforehand, and it was a case of us reacting to it to try and get our top spot back and such. And obviously with City losing against Brentford, again, if this was Arsenal of old, we've been in situations where we've got a chance to go top, and how many times we've seen it against with Wenger and stuff like that, teams, a chance for us to go top. All the results have gone our way. We just got to turn up and win, and we do something stupid, and again against Wolves and against Chelsea, that domination again, it was just there for all to see, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and a couple of things that the guys said earlier. James, when he said about Jesus and the price, and some of the Arsenal fans or so-called fans, for me, he's already paid his price. He's already earned it for me because of that. The impact that he's had. When you've got so many other players that are now forward thinking, whereas we never used to have that before. James, how long ago was it when we were saying he didn't even have one creative player in the team? Wasn't that long ago. Look how quickly we've evolved. Now we've got creativity, goal scorers, defenders all over the blooming place. Even our attackers defend. It's incredible. That's the difference. Everyone is playing for the team. Everyone is playing for each other. And to say that, but he's paid to score. Well, look what he's doing. It's just ridiculous. Don't fix something which ain't broken. How many times do you have to say that? It's the end of it. Chelsea were in complete control. That was another one. The pundits, but Chelsea weren't really playing that well. They were off their game. That's because we didn't let them. We were in their face practically for 90 minutes. They couldn't even get out because we're that good. And, James, again, about Saliba, I think he does. I think he gives them a head start. I actually believe it. He's giving them a head start because he knows he's going to rinse them. He's going to destroy them. He's that good. I have run out of superlatives for this squad. They're just incredible. And then Wolves. That was nothing, was it? Because it's Wolves and they're bottom of the league, and it's Odegaard scored against the bottom of the league. So what's the point? Let's not talk about it because it's a given, isn't it? If Arsenal didn't win that, then it's disgusting. Why didn't they win it? It's Odegaard, brilliant. So pleased for him. So pleased for him. Because again, he was another one that was getting a little bit of criticism again from the Arsenal side as well. He should be doing more with his finishing and stuff. Well, at the end of the day, look at our goal difference. It's only 4 behind City. City were like destroying teams at the start with Haaland. Everyone was going, they're going to win the league. It's Haaland. He's a machine. He's a robot. He's a cyborg. What's happened to him? I said to someone, he's going to drop off. You just watch. To me, he reminds me of Yeboah of the old. He came to Leeds and he destroyed everything in the first 7 to 10 games. He scored some wonder goals, and then he just dropped off. Just watch, Haaland. We are the business. It's Arsenal. Yeah. It's Arsenal season.
I think Haaland, since he's been playing, I think at the clubs he's played for, he's always had a not big injury, but he's had an injury that's kept him out for 5, 6, 7 games, and he obviously had the one the other day, which was just the one game. I think he might have had COVID or whatever it was, but. Because of the way he's built, I just think he's probably could say he's still effectively like growing. His body's still growing, but if you look on his injury history, he has something that pops up, and he's out for a few games, a run of games. And that could be massive, especially going into. I don't think they've organised the game at the Emirates yet. A lot of people were saying it was going to be thrown in between the Tottenham and the United game, but I don't think that's going to happen now. And obviously we played him in April the 26th, I think. So they're going to have to fit that game in somewhere. And if it comes to the point where he could be out, or there are obviously lots of variables there. But
they've got to fit the Everton game in as well. They've got to reschedule that one too.
Yeah. So there's a lot to happen. There's a lot to sort out.
That's why, sorry to interrupt, Michael. I think just one thing we should note in this podcast that's why it was so important to finish top in the Europa, because it's avoided those 2 extra games, which you can say now are the rescheduled Man City and Everton games, kind of substitute. Yeah. So that was so important as well. So we've done well there, top of that league as well. God, top of everything.
Indeed. So I'm just going to throw up a couple of stats here, just some figures, facts and figures, just to go through. I know James likes his stats and his figures. So I know he's got his plate down there. He's got his knife and fork, and he's ready to go. So we've made more successful dribbles than anyone else in the league. So again, that just shows you with the offensive mindset and the work rate. And obviously, Martinelli's the most prolific one with 28 ones. But we knew that the guy's an absolute machine. Defensively, as James rightfully topped up or brought up. The defence, we've only faced 37 shots on target, so that's just over 2 a game, which is the fewest in the league. Scored the most goals from inside the box. I think you saw that with the Wolves goal. That's something from City, really. And a lot of people are attributing that tactic to Arteta in terms of how he overloads that far post. I think there was a really good tweet from a Wolves fan. I think you might have sent it, James. I'm not sure. I might have said to you guys where he was watching us warm up, like before the warm up, and apparently the move that led to the goal, the Arsenal team did that move about 10 times where they overloaded at the far post, and they kept on doing it. And he said he's never seen a team do that before. And then obviously look what happened. So it'd be a good thing to keep an eye on if we keep doing that overload, because apparently that's a staple of, I think, the season before last, when Sterling was on fire. He scored so many goals like that where he was just running in and tapping it in at the far post. So that's something that I think maybe, if anyone's got Saka in their fantasy team, you might have to keep him in there to get some points going forward.
We've also got the two best centre backs, I think, in the box as well, offensively.
Yeah.
I think that Gabriel and Saliba's finishing is up there,
Yeah,
mate. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
So credit them.
Yeah. Averaging 2.64 points per game. Obviously, we hit 100 points. That's fantasy stuff. We don't know if we're going to be hitting that, but it just shows you what we're doing at the moment. We're 14 points ahead of where we were at this stage last season. And Jesus, again, what are we worrying about? The guy's produced more shot creating actions than any other PL striker with 57. So the guy is just sparking. People are just sparking off of him, and happily we're getting the fruits of that. We fielded the youngest team in the Premier League this season, which I thought it was a bit close, but obviously Southampton got quite a young side as well. Only De Bruyne has produced more assists than Saka, which is 9-6. This one, I think James, you probably know more about it than me. Arsenal created a higher non-penalty XG than any other side with 2.57 non-penalty XG. So that just basically, I think, what does that mean? It just means that they've taken out that metric, and it's quite high for when you take into account when they include penalties into that. We have fallen behind in 2 Premier League matches this season, the fewest of any club. Obviously, our touches in the final third is only bettered by obviously Man City, and our conversion rate of 13.8 is only bettered by the Trophy Dodgers. So because they've got those 2 or those 3 or whatever up front, but it's not going to last.
They're called goal hangers.
Yeah, it's not going to last. Kane's going to come back. He's probably going to do everything he can to win a Golden Boot, and then he'll do a tour with it, do an open bus tour, and he'll be knackered. He won't bother anymore. And then less said about the rest of him, the better. But yeah, so I mean, we'll touch on the World Cup, guys, obviously to keep it topical and everything. We obviously want our boys to get knocked out as soon as possible, and to get on the beach, have a bit of R&R, and then come back and smash everyone when we resume. But there's this talk about how many players that we've got going out and how it's going to affect us when City have got I think 16 players going to our 10, and City's 16 are more. There's more of them are starters for their clubs, for their country, than ours. We've got maybe 3 or 4 at the top of my head. There's Partey, Xhaka, Tomiyasu, and Turner, who's obviously not first choice. What before I go into the last bit, obviously in terms of your ratings and stuff, I don't think we've got anything to worry about really. Do any of you think we've got anything to worry about in terms of the whole tournament itself? It's just if someone gets a big injury, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Shall I go? Oh, Stephen, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For me, it's just injuries. No worries at all. I'm pleased for the lads that are there. For end of the day, I'm not going to be selfish and say, "Oh, I don't want them at the World Cup," and come home quick, because end of the day, that it's every lad's dream or every person's dream to be wanting to play the best or biggest tournament in the world and to be successful in it. Come on, I mean, no one can. We'd be doing ourselves a disservice as football fans if we started saying that. That wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
So in a way, I wish them luck and I wish them well, but at the same time, I am selfish. We're doing really well, and I don't want anything to curtail that. It's just, if it had been another season where we were just average and we were just hanging in there, and maybe it wouldn't have been so influential on my feelings. But this season, come back strong, come back fit. And for me, there's no worry because I think Arteta is. I think apart from that Man United game where he had that one blip, one moment of madness this season with the substitutions, the panic, as James alluded to earlier, I think he's growing so fast as a character builder, as a manager, as a tactician, so many different attributes to his personality. And I think he's probably one of the best managers in the Prem to get them back, to remotivate them, even if they come back, some of them come back as World Cup winners. I really, truly believe that. I think he will just have that single mindset, right? You have to be back in that zone now. You've had your celebration. Well done, lads. Pat on the back, right back on it. You can really, truly celebrate after Arsenal have completed the treble in May. Then you can celebrate, and with your World Cup win as well. But I think he'll get them back on track. So for me, no worries.
The most important thing, Michael, is the minute that beautiful French man called William Saliba lands off his plane in Dubai, and he's lost the final to Argentina, because that's what will happen. But he's one young player of the tournament, because he will be the best defender, even though he loses in the final against Argentina. He'll be the best defender in the whole tournament. You've got to have a biro, an IKEA betting shop, whatever kind of pen we can find, and go to him. You're not coming down those steps of that aeroplane until you sign this piece of paper. Even if we get a dummy, if we get someone like a kid to put their hand over the top where it's the Arsenal contract, to be like, Mr. Saliba, will you sign it? And he'll go, and then go, well, hey, you've just signed your Arsenal contract. Even if we trick him, just whatever way we've got to do it, just get it done.
That's the worry.
Spot on,
because after he's done all that, the PSGs, the Real Madrids, all of them of this world will go, he's out of contract. Buy him, and I'm sorry, the money does talk, because he will command about 300 grand a week from one of them clubs if he wants it, because he's that good. So we've got to try and get him signed ASAP. I think he wants to stay. I think he's loving it. I think he's absolutely loving it.
Do you really think the money will pull him? I can't see it, James.
Of course it will.
Really?
Yeah, mate. The money. I know he's a shy lad, maybe because he's not as well versed in English as other people in the team. But yeah, mate. When you get offered those bags, especially in this day and age, it was. I know it's a long time ago, but look at Dean Ashton, Neil. He was just about to go to Man United. He had all that money and potential of what he could have been, and he gets kicked and it's all ruined. So if you get offered the bags, you take the bags now. Sadly, in this day and age, you really do.
Okay, I don't know. I've got a feeling he'll stay, but we'll see.
I think he'll stay. Definitely. I think he is improving and enjoying the challenge of what the Premier League brings. Yes, he was starting regularly at Marseille as well when he was there, and when he was there on loan, he was doing fantastic. But I think he sees the difference in the Premier League. I think for his foreseeable, I can't see him leaving, and he will sign a new contract. If not, I'll go around and I'll knock on his door and say, Ben White says he's going to take your position. So
I think. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he might have the club got an option to extend it for a year or something like that. Yeah. So they could pull that one and then line the ducks ready to get someone in if they have to get a replacement in. But hopefully, no, that won't be the case. And I think if you just see the way the guy celebrates goals that aren't scored by him, the way he runs around like a lunatic, he loves it. He's really, really bought into it. So hopefully, it's just a matter of time, and we'll do what needs to be done in getting him signed up for a long time, for a very, very long time.
Just to add one point to that, I think one thing that was telling, which is why I think we all agreed that he's going to sign, is it was the fans. When he scored that own goal, and they all started singing his name and cheering him on, and he came back from that, and he said so himself. He said he's never had that before, because it doesn't usually happen. As you guys were both saying earlier, when the team goes down, or if anything bad is happening, the fans are not doom and gloom. They're encouraging. They're supporting. And we haven't had that for a while. So I think he's loving his life, and he's living his best life, and he's living his dream at the Arsenal as an Arsenal fan himself. And
Well, good stuff.
Top of the league. I'm going to keep on mentioning it.
Keep saying it, man. Keep saying it. So in terms of, look at Arteta now, and probably all agree that he's probably his most difficult or worst moment of the season was the United, maybe the way he handled the United game at the end, the second half. He sort of think, like James said, I think he got too emotional in that situation and saw that it was how could we be losing to these lot? It's a travesty, and he just threw all these chips in and thought, rather than take a point and swallow his pride a bit, he just went for the win, and then obviously we saw what happened. So if we all agree that was his low of the season, what would you say would be his shining moment of the season so far? Was there any particular game or particular decision that you think that he did and it actually came off, or is it just collectively just how he just seems to, from that disappointment, he seems to have eternally looked at it, and then he's just gone on to almost everything that he's done so far. The way he talks to the cameras, the way to the press, the way he conducts himself has just been perfect. I can't believe it, but obviously where we were a couple of years ago about, I'm saying he's not the right man. I wouldn't want anybody else in charge of this club, for the next foreseeable, because this guy, he gets it and what he's built. What would you guys, say that, would it be just collectively how he's done the season, or is there something particular thing that you liked to what he did, or
so just to jump in, I think the Chelsea result is arguably what he felt the most, because when we went to where those fans were, he's quite like, come on, like you get back at him, but he was enjoying that one. Like he really enjoyed that one. And then after that, and I think Stephen and Neil have summed it up best, integrating Saliba into this side and telling a £50 million setback, who literally is the most expensive addition to your defence, you're playing right back now. He could have moaned and complained, but he doesn't, because, like you said, he's a brilliant footballer and he'll play wherever you want to put him. But that, to me, just shows how good of a manager he is, because someone like Ben White will accept the fact that he's not going to play in his starting position, but he's like, okay, I'll do the job for you in this other one. And I'll, what a job he's done. Literally, that whole back four, especially when Zinchenko is fit, is fantastic, because it allows Xhaka to do stuff further up the pitch that we didn't even know that he could do in an Arsenal shirt. You've seen bits of it in a Switzerland one, but he's doing it now in an Arsenal one. It just allows the flexibility and what I believe was the next level that he was always talking about and wanting to go to. And I think that comes from the fact that above him, they're now getting the fans a bit more as well, and giving the money to get to that next level. And that's the next bit for me, is when this window opens, if you really believe in this project and you believe in this manager like you keep telling us you do, and you keep saying, I've won that lacrosse, I've won that ice hockey, the next one that we want to win is with Arsenal, prove it and get those two players. Because it's just that's it. Just those two players to cover those two positions, which is the wide forward, and if Thomas Partey goes down, because El Neni can do it for a couple of games, but we know that he can't do it forever. And Lokonga's the same. Lokonga can't. I don't even think he could do it for a couple of games like El Neni. I don't want to be really horrible to the guy, but as a six, I don't see it. When he was playing number 8 in pre-season, Lokonga, he was superb. And I'm like, get that boy back in that position and build him up, and then you've got a real player on your hands, because I think Lokonga's very, very I think he's actually quite underrated. I just think he gets a bad time because he's playing in a position that's not his own.
Yeah, definitely. Steve?
Arteta's best moment has probably been what James said. We've had a good season so far. You can't fault it. The Brighton game nobody saw, so it didn't happen. Basically, you know what I mean? You can put it up as a 3-1 loss, but it didn't happen. I know. I heard Nketiah scored a wonder goal. I saw that, but that could have been in training. All I know. If it wasn't televised anywhere in the world, then it didn't happen. So, yeah, it's been a good season, and you can't pick out one particular game as because it's just not one game. It's getting over that first hurdle, which was Crystal Palace, getting over that hurdle that was Fulham, that was Bournemouth. It's getting over each different challenge and how he's set up the team to do it. We've had injuries. You know, people don't talk about it because we're top of the league, but we have had injuries to key players. So we've had Tomiyasu injured, we've had Tierney injured, we've had Zinchenko injured. They've missed games. You know, it's not like everybody's been fit the whole time. So there have been players that have missed games. Nelson was injured. Vieira unfortunately joined us injured. So, you know, we're not seeing the best of him, but he'll get almost like a good pre-season now. With this winter break because of the World Cup, and we should see a better, stronger, fitter Vieira for the second half of the season. But he's managed it well. You know, he's managed the team, and you know, credit to the man. He's everything that he said that he wanted to do. He is doing it so far. So, and that's why when people are always going, oh yeah, but you know, it's this or it's that, and it's, you know, it's always something. It's always something. It's always a test, and he's just answering them. He might as well just give him the title now. Hey, Neil.
You got a fit and hungry, hopefully ESR to come back. You know, Hayland, he's seeing what the boys are doing. Neil, would you go along with that? Would you say it's a collectively what Arteta's done? You know, it's been the shining thing, or was there a particular moment that you said that for you, or decision he made? I mean, it could be the way the Reece Nelson one. I remember talking to you guys on WhatsApp saying, "Oh, I would have put Vieira on," and the kid turned around in the second half and he absolutely did bits. But what was your moment for Arteta been so far?
It's a collective. There's a plethora of moments that make up the entire picture. You know, he's turned a team which was suffering. Losing Wenger was so impactful to the club. Emery, unfortunately, you know, I think he unfairly got a lot of stick as well, but he wasn't the right man at the end of the day. And then Arteta, let's not forget, this is his first managerial job, and look at him. Unreal. Yeah. And for me, if you were to get me to pick out any particular moment, it's not a moment. It's actually his rejuvenation of Xhaka. He was gone.
Yeah.
God was gone, and now he's the. For me, as I said, we got some great names that we can pick off and say, look at him, look how well he's doing, look what a difference he's made. Of course we have. You know, that's why we are where we are. But for me, Xhaka is like. He's undroppable. You can't. That's why, you know, the Wolves game. That's why I've got to applaud Odegaard again for the Wolves game, because, you know, losing Xhaka that early on, we were like, oh, we do want to finish off on a win, because, you know, what you said earlier, that we were very typical like that. All the other teams around us would drop points, and then Arsenal had a great chance to capitalise, and it never happened. I thought, no, not when we've done all this hard work, and it's the last game before the World Cup. And Odegaard stepped up. He was the true captain, and he stepped up. He was great. So, you know, that's how important Xhaka is. So if you gave me someone to choose, I would choose him. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but it's a mark of how good Arteta is. He sees things that maybe other people don't. You know, he did say that phrase that people starting to taking the piss out of. Sorry to swear. You know, trust the process. But now look, it's come to fruition. It's there. He's right. And you know what reinforced it for me? And I know it sounds really maybe narrow-minded or shallow, but it was actually the documentary. Because when I saw how he was working behind the scenes, I was like, wow, this guy, what you said, how he comes across, how he talks. Have you really seen him ruffled in an interview? I haven't.
No.
He still hasn't got grey hair. He's still got immaculate eyebrows. His hair's just ridiculously good. I mean, what ruffles this man? Nothing. He just takes it in his stride, and you're right, Michael. You summed it up perfectly. I wouldn't want any other man in that job now. It's got to be him. And he could break the mold that everyone thought was gone. Everyone thought the days of long-standing managers was gone. I think this guy could be around for quite a while.
Yeah,
really.
I think because he gets the club. He's been the manager. The club's did a lot for him. He went out of his way to go to the club. He took a pay cut, didn't he, to get to leave Everton to come here, and then obviously made captain. And we saw his reaction when he left. You know, he's in floods of tears. Obviously, so he's got a great affinity with the club. I'm pretty sure that when he does well and Pep decides to go, there'll be talks about that, about him going there and maybe Barcelona and whoever. But I think he's got that connection there and he's building something. And I think he won't rest until he's had a proper crack at the Champions League with us. And I think that's where his end goal is. Until he achieves that, I don't think he's looking at any other club. And as long as we're going in the right trajectory, why should he? So I think yeah, he's going to be around until, and again, I think I said before, we're not even in our final form yet, are we? This is just beginning. Obviously James is talking about getting a couple of bodies in. I know you and Steve are going to do something hopefully in a couple of weeks about your wish list, your Christmas wish list for players. But yeah, I think he's going to be pretty much close, like you said, Neil. Someone's going to be there, partner furniture for a long time, and maybe he will start getting grey by the time he leaves. Probably not. He probably got like stocks of Grecian 2000 in Stewards room, Steve. He probably got there. So I did ask you a couple of questions beforehand, but I think you've answered most of them really in some of the chats. So I really appreciate that. And I was just going to say, if there's a player that who's been your, if you had to, I know Neil's going to say the team, but if there's one player, season ended, obviously it has kind of semi-ended, but if there's a player you had to give the Player of the Year award to right this moment now, gun to your head, who would it be, and which player do you think needs to step up, and who would you like to see step up? Because I think it's gonna be integral for the running. My one would be Emil Smith-Rowe, because I think he's gonna, just having him fit and having that option. We saw what he did when he came off the bench last season, what he was doing, the way he was able to come in cold and still deliver. I think that's going to be massive if he comes back really fit in the second half of the season. The player for me, the player of the season for me would be Xhaka, because he just added a different dimension. He's that left-sided number 8 that we all were crying out for. Was it Tielemans or who was it? Someone else? And he's that guy. So we don't really need to worry so much about that anymore, unless obviously he gets injured. We need someone else in. But going in reverse, Neil, who would you say is your player of the year, and who would you give it to, and who would you hope either steps up or really would need to in the running next season, in the second half of the season?
Because you said Xhaka, and I've said Xhaka about 300 times now. Do you know what? There are so many names that come to mind, but I'll actually say Ben White, because he was asked to make a monumental change, and he was magnificent, and he has been magnificent. And as Steve was saying, I love him in interviews. I just love everything about him. I think a film could be written about that guy. I really do. So Ben White stepping up. I wouldn't say him as Smith-Rowe, because unfortunately he hasn't had a chance to show what he can do, and I think he's just going to come in. And I know what you mean. I think it's just a play of words. But for me, it's Eddie Nketiah. I need it, because if we don't get anyone in that forward lineup, we're going to need to stretch the squad. He needs to really start showing us what he can do. So for me, Eddie Nketiah and Ben White. Cool.
James, I'll come to you, because actually this is amazing. We've got Neil Shah, Reece Nelson's #1 fan. We've got Steve, Ben White's #1 fan. And we've got obviously James is Eddie Nketiah's #1 fan. He's the founder member of the Eddie Nketiah fan club. So I'm sport tonight. So James, what would you say would be your man of the season so far, and who would you like to see step up? Let's put it that way. And if called upon in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I would say Nketiah as well. Just for the point of view of, I've got a ton of membership cards that I need to shift. I've got and there's only me in it, so I bought loads of them, thinking on that run of last season that I'm going to be, the £15 a month subscription fee, and then your membership card and your letter at Christmas and your cuddly toy that you'd all be signing up. But no, it's definitely for him. If Jesus goes down, we need that guy to be at such a level. Not just in terms of goal scoring, he needs to replicate the hold up play and the creation and everything. You put the numbers up earlier, Michael. He's got to, and I keep seeing people saying, "Oh, you've got to get Tony, you've got to get Mitrovic. You need someone like that." Vlahovic is doing really badly at Juventus. Get him back here. I think that is so much of a leap from what we're currently doing that you can't make that change midway through a season. I think if you're going to go and get that option B target man player, that has to be done in a summer window, because then they need to work on it. City have been the way they've been for so many years that the minute they sign Highland, they're going to just find a way anyway, because they've been that good for such. I think if you drop that target man with us now, it might be a bit of a struggle to get him all the way through. So, I'd say hold off on that. Well, I think we definitely need one, but I'd hold off on that one in January and stick to what we've got, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it all goes well. But player of the year for me, it's great that we've all got different ones. That just shows. For me, it's got to be Saliba. Just the level change in terms of what that's allowed. Like I keep saying, what it's allowed other people to do, and just how comfortable they all are. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. But I will say the one I enjoy to watch the most, especially when he's in full flow, Thomas Partey. Oh my God. Yeah. I would sit there and years ago they used to do the camera on just one player on Sky. Remember when the red button was like a new thing, and they'd just be like, "Oh, we're going to follow one." I'd love to just like that Zidane film where they just followed Zidane the whole way through. Yeah. I'd love to just watch Thomas Partey for a whole 90 minutes, like that one when we played Brentford. I'd love to just watch from his eye line everything that because he was just pinging that ball around like it was nobody's business that game.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, good shout. Steve?
Some good answers. It's a tough one because obviously you picked players that I would probably have picked as well. I'm going to go with Martinelli. He stepped up. I think we all would have said that this would have been a big season for him in terms of what we're expecting from him, because he had a lot of disappointments last season with being injured and not being inconsistent in the team as well, and not having the end product so much. And this year, I think because Jesus has come in and added that 10 performance consistently, that means he's getting a 10 out of 10 consistently. It's given it's given Martinelli that belief that, okay, right, if I keep on working and I keep on working hard and I keep on doing whatever I was doing, but just keep on doing it, I'm going to reach those levels. That's the level that I should be aiming for, and he's done that. Like I said, if you look at his numbers just for this season compared to last season, everything is up. Everything's gone on another level. So this was a big season for him, and getting the call up to the Brazil squad as well, which might have surprised some people, but you can't beat that work rate. And if he does get a chance to play for Brazil, he's going to put in 110% like he does when he's on the pitch, because it means something to him. You know what I mean? With both him and Marquinhos, for example, they both know, and Jesus and a lot of Brazilian players and lots of players around the world, and they all know where they've started and their origin story starts. So the privilege of playing for the Arsenal, he will sign a new contract and he will become an Arsenal great. But this season was important for him. I'm going to give it to Martinelli. The player that I think needs to step up, again, we've mentioned a couple of names there. I'm going to go with Sambi, because I get that with Xhaka, he was being played in the wrong position, and then Arteta said, no, this is the position I need you to play in, and I've got somebody to allow you to play your best position. And we need to do that with Sambi. He needs to be playing the Xhaka role instead of the Thomas Partey role. So, but he at the same time, he's looked neat and tidy at times. Not much, but I saw a weird stat that basically every game he started, we've lost. That's crazy. So, every loss that we've had, he started. So but I'd like to see that's not a reflection on him, obviously. But I think he needs to step up. I think he needs to just add a bit more intensity to his game, and we will see a better Zambian Congo.
Can I just step in, Michael, very quickly? You know what I loved about this? About this? We've named so many players of our potential player of the season, and there's still a whole lot more that we could have chosen. That's why I was smiling when you guys were talking. I wasn't laughing at you. I was smiling because I was thinking, look how great this team is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I could say Saka, for example, and hearing what Aaron Ramsdale said about him being taking last season's not finishing in the top 4 as his responsibility, he stepped up, and since our former striker left, he stepped up and he's been that guy, and he's been happy to be that guy. So him taking on that huge responsibility at such a young age of going, oh, you know what, we didn't make top 4 because of me, dude. It's not him. Do you know what I mean? It was collectively, and that's why collectively we're doing great this season, because everybody's taking responsibility. So yes, when people go, oh, Saka's not played that great so far this season, he's had a few games where he's been, but everybody else has been playing great. So that's why we've won that game, because collectively we're a team. If when the Wolves game, like James said, and it was but Xhaka's gone off, but Odegaard said, I'm the captain, I'll step up, I will score the goals, I will, and it's everybody's doing it, and that's the beautiful thing right now. It's great to watch. Top
it's amazing.
Yeah, that guy who plays in midfield and he's finishing, he doesn't shoot enough and his finishing's terrible. I thought, for him to be our top scorer, he's not bad for someone that's crap at shooting and doesn't get in the position. He's the best Norwegian in the Prem. What are you talking about?
Only the bottom clubs, so James, I forget that.
Only bottom clubs, yeah. Oh, well, I mean, guys, all I could say is thank you so much for your time. As I'll always say that. Great to always talk about Arsenal, especially with this sort of enforced break. Got a shout out to everyone that's watched the last video. It's done some crazy numbers, and the subscribers have joined. Thanks for subscribing, and hope hopefully that means you enjoying the content, and hopefully there'll be a lot more. And just really appreciate it. A bit of work that goes into it, but it's a lot easier when you've got good guys like this who gives up their time to speak about the club that we all love. So really appreciate it. Hopefully be back, maybe not next week, maybe have a little bit of a break. The kids are driving me mad with Christmas already and everything, and I have to put a tree up and all that stuff. But I'll hopefully be back with some more good chat. We've got a transfer special coming up with Steve and James soon as well. Was looking forward to that. Cool. Was you going to say something, Steve?
Yeah, there's one question that Elisha wanted us to answer. He's popped up with another question. It should be nice and quick. Who was the previous Arsenal manager? And he was interested to know what was Emery's downfall with us.
I just think
the first part.
Yeah, previous manager. Yeah, well, Emery, I think. Yeah, I just think it was again. I think it was Neil said he wasn't the right guy. I don't think he was necessarily backed. I think he had a lot of too many chefs. I think Raul wanted different players to what he wanted. He wanted Zaha. He went obviously with Pepe. We all know how that worked out. And then it got to a point where he was openly disrespected by players in the squad. They made that public. Then he was openly disrespected by people who were interviewing him by saying good evening and all that stuff. And the good thing is that a lot of those players aren't there anymore. The ones that were the instigators and the ringleaders. So, yeah, I think he comes across as a good person, a decent guy. You know, I'm sure he's going to do well. He's done well wherever he's gone. But I just think that it was the whole structure that was behind him. People were going in one direction and he wanted to go in another, and then they weren't backing him. So that's the reason I think it all broke down. I don't know if you guys
lack of trust. Like you said, when he come in, he apparently gave this humongous PowerPoint presentation that got him the job, and they said, "Oh my God, we were blown away by how well he interviewed." Because you remember, Arteta was considered at that stage, and there was a lot of them that wanted him at that stage as well. Even though Pep Guardiola was begging him, he said, "No, you're not ready. In my opinion, you're not ready. Wait and then see." And then go the next, because he said there will be a next time, and then go then. And Guardiola, as per normal, was right. But I think he wanted to get rid of the bad eggs that we all knew were there, and he just wasn't given the authority that Arteta had, because I think, like you said, Michael, there were people in that regime previously that were for their own personal gain and not the club's gain. Edu, I think now, previous, Invincible even, he cares about how the club is. Mertesacker that's in there, okay, he didn't win the leagues and everything else like that, but I defy you to tell me that man didn't care about Arsenal. You've got Wilshere in there now, that, again, like you said about the Wolves fan talking about the drills, he's on that radio station I can't abide, but he sat there going, the level that this training is compared to even when I had Arsenal, it's 10 times better than what it is, and the fitnesses and everything else like that. So every single one that's in there from top to bottom seems like they get it and they care about it. And Unai Emery didn't have that. And I don't think he ever was. It's a bit like sometimes in politics, you don't want to be the guy after that one. You want to be the one after. I think whoever come in after Arsene Wenger was always going to struggle. It was like when United got rid of, and they're still reeling from it, a bit unlike us. You didn't want to be the guy after Ferguson. You wanted to be the guy after Ferguson.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have known, you'd have got more, you'd have had a better run of it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. 100%. I imagine Neil's pretty much the same, about that. It just wasn't.
I think he's a nice guy, and he just got thrown into the lion's den, and he wasn't. End of.
You said it from I remember on the Pioli podcast. I remember you said it right from then. You said that I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy.
I like him to Bruce Rioch. He was brought in just to fill in the gap.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. Which I feel bad for him, but okay, it's done now. But the only thing I'll say about him is he left with such grace, and he didn't have a bad word to say, although he was treated so badly. And he really, truly, genuinely wished Arteta all the best as well. I love that about him. Yeah. He'll have a place in my heart always. So I think he's a good guy, and I like that.
Yeah, fair play.
You go from a £12 million a year manager to a £4.5 million a year manager. It just says it. It says it all there. It just says it all. Yeah.
True. No, good question.
Just Elisha. He's a young schoolboy, so he might not have known who the previous managers were. So yes, it was Unai Emery. Freddie Ljungberg was in there as caretaker, so that doesn't count. And I like both Neil and James have said, he was the guy after Arsene Wenger, and the structures in place, which was what James was saying, the structures in place that were there had to be broken. Everything had to be broken, and because you can't fault Unai Emery. He's a winner. He actually is a winner. He's the most decorated Europa League winner. How many times has he won it with various clubs? Six times?
Yeah.
Something like that. So he's a winner. But whatever structures were in place, as James said, there were people that were in there for their own benefit and not for the benefit of the club. Now we have people that are in there that have the benefit of the club. And if he had come in now, for example, we'd have a better Unai Emery manager. But he came in and we had so many big egos in there. Bamiyang, you had your Ozils, you had all these players that were just vacuuming money from our club without actually putting in the effort in. And it was a whole recipe for disaster for him. So I wish him well. Like I said, I've got nothing but praise for the man. He came in as the guy after Wenger. It was always going to be the hardest job. And even when I speak to Man United fans, and they like, oh, don't like David Moyes, blah 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 blah. He inherited a title-winning team. It's like most of that team left, and most of that team were old, and some of that team is still there now. He was the guy after Sir Alex, so it was never going to be successful.
No, good stuff, man. But again, thanks for the question. Thanks for taking part in the conversation, guys. Always appreciate it on your Sunday night. Obviously, got work tomorrow and everything. I'll hopefully be back next week, or if not, I have a break in the week after with some more transfer chat, hopefully. But again, thanks for everyone who's watching. Obviously, we can watch this on. Obviously, you can hear this on Spotify and any other good platforms that you use. And so I'll finish. I've been Michael, the architect, Harris. He's been Steve, Agent Smith, Osakwe. He has been Neil, the one, Shah, and he has been the guy down in the corner has been James, the most dangerous man alive, Johnstone. Thanks for watching, and up the Reds, up the Gunners, and see you soon.
You know who made it.